didn't realize that the Black Panther Party, we have 51 offices in 30 major cities. The Black Panther Party, like I said, we had 51 offices in 30 major cities in America. The impact of the Black Panther Party grew so tremendously that when we went to Sacramento and when we started organizing, people all over the world took notice. In this particular issue of the Black Panther Party, our international issue, here, just on the front page alone, it shows Huey Newton shaking hands with Chow and Lai, who was Mao Zedong's second in charge. Also, you see pictures of Eldridge Cleaver, with Amilcar Cabral, a revolutionary leader from Africa. Also, you see Pete and Charlotte O'Neill, who worked at our international office in Algeria, and also you see Panthers from Polynesian Panthers from New Zealand, Panthers from Australia. I went to Australia this year, and I was able to hook up with the Aborigines there, and they treated me like I was a god because the Black Panther Party showed them a way to organize. It showed a whole race of people how to organize, because if you know anything about Australia and the Aborigines, you know they're treated just like slaves, just like blacks in America. And it wasn't until they got a hold of the ideology of the Black Panther Party that they started doing something for themselves. They started a free breakfast program like we did. They started free medical programs like we did. They were taking care of their own people. They started a free legal aid throughout, not just in one location, in Sydney, Melbourne, and all over Australia. So the impact of the Black Panther Party is worldwide. Not only that, I traveled to Portugal and done exhibits. The party is known throughout the world. I mean, right now I still get telephone calls on a daily basis. PBS, MTV, they all want information about the party. Now, another thing I wanted to concentrate on is the fact that our survival program, the reason why we work. Now, we have something like 20 survival programs. And these are, you heard Bobby talk about it before and other party members on the film about the free breakfast program. Now, this was a program so simple that we had to set an example for people to follow. So when we started the free breakfast program, we started feeding people in West Oakland, but like I said, we had 51 different offices. So once we started one Panther breakfast program, we spread throughout the country, and the breakfast program is simply this. What we found out was that during that time, the Oakland School District, kids that would come to school hungry would fall out and faint because of hunger. The school's solution was to send them home to get something to eat. That doesn't make any sense, because if they had food in the get-go, they would eat it before they came. So we knew there was a problem. So Johnny and Mary cannot learn if they're hungry. Point one, you cannot learn if you're hungry. So we started feeding kids, and it took off like a rocket. Because PTAs in Cleveland, Baltimore, New York, and not only Panthers, we were doing it first, but other people saw the value of what we were doing, and it set an example. I don't know if you guys remember, back when Ronald Reagan was running for governor of the state of California, he was running against a guy, he was running against the treasurer who was a Democrat, right? Jesse Andrew. And and as you know, Ronald Reagan was a very right-wing person. He didn't like Angela Davis, he didn't like the Black Panther Party, he didn't like Students for Democratic Society, he didn't like anything progressive. And so what he did was, he would always badmouth the party any chance he got. And during this election, he said, oh, the Panthers, they're not good for anything. Jesse Andrew came back with, hey, they're feeding more people than the United States government. Now, that hit the front pages across America. Politicians said Panthers feed more than the government. It was true. The American government at that time was sending rockets to the moon. Remember that? I don't know if y'all remember that, but some of us remember that. They were practicing moonism, and we were feeding kids here on the ground. And so we embarrassed the government, just like all of our other programs. The breakfast program is now a staple in every city in America. Now, if you look at statistics of the United States government, they will say they fed 6.4 million people in their nutritional program. Their nutritional program is the breakfast program. So they're averaging from 4.5 to 6.2 million kids per year on this program. Can you imagine how many kids in America has been fed since 1970, since we started it? But I bet you right now, 0% of people know that the Black Panther Party started this program, and that the kids, the breakfast that the kids are receiving are directly responsible from an organization that said was a radical, no good organization. But also our social programs, we had 13 free medical clinics across America in every major city. Now, we have 2 clinics that are still open after all this time. We have one in Seattle and we have one in Portland, still serving the people and serving as our legacy. Thousands of people have been served through this. Now, I won't even bring up the fact that Black Panther Party tested over 1 million people for the sickle cell anemia trait before the government even recognized it. Now, you can check when Ronald Reagan was, when Nixon was president. Nixon said in 1972 in the State of the Union speech that we have to do more about sickle cell anemia to find out about this dreaded disease. I wonder where he got that from. We have been out in the field testing people already. So our main thing was to educate people and show them the contradiction between the government and people's power. And you can do that through the programs that we established. And I was talking to a young person about a program that we started. It's called the Senior Escort Service. Very simple program. And because we were young, 21, 22 years old, we wasn't aware of what the senior citizens were facing. Because remember back in the 70s, there was no such thing as direct deposit. There was no, you had to carry that check that you got from the government or retirement, Social Security, welfare, whatever it came from. You had to carry it down to the bank yourself. You had to carry it to Mayfair's, Lucky, wherever you cashed that check at, and every thug, criminal element in town knew that senior citizens had money around the first of the month. So they were taking a beating before we realized that. So they brought a program to us and said, hey, can you do something about the situation? So what we started doing was in Oakland, we started bringing, at that time, we had station wagons, we had no vans. Vans came later in history. So we would take station wagons and go to senior homes and take any senior citizen that wanted to go to Safeways, Lucky's, or to the bank to cash their check. You know, so we had programs like that in place and going already. We had a busing program that took people from the community to San Quentin, to Vacaville, to Folsom, to Soledad, free every weekend. Why? To keep the family together. Because if a brother's been captured and taken to jail, he's now a victim of the system, right? And so what we try to do is keep that family unity together, because a lot of times they don't send you to the county jail. If they send you to state jail, that state prison might be 200 or 300 miles away. And if you live in public housing or you don't have a good, decent car to make it that far, it may be a long time in between visits. So we recognize those things. You know, we recognize that the system, the capitalism system, cannot work without a divide and conquer tactics. Tactics that exploit people, you know, exploit the labor, as well as in prison, because the prison is meant but in prison industrial complex today. You know, there's more people in prison than really need to be already, and we're considering locking up more people. You know, so the Black Panther Party, to me, it was a very, very big thing, and it's a part of my life. So even though time has passed, like Big Man said, I would write every month or every couple of weeks, or if I'm in town for a speaking engagement, I would go over his house and, you know, so I eventually moved out to California. But the thing that we are doing now, you know, to bring the full circle, the thing we're doing now is we're trying to educate people about our legacy. People know about COINTELPRO. They know about how the government tried to destroy the Black Panther Party in various, many type ways. I'll give you one example. Clark Bailey and James Mott, Michael Torrance, although they were members of the Lumping, they were all my best friends. We all worked together at Central Headquarters. Now, when Huey Newton got out of jail in 1970, the Central Committee, the governing body of the Black Panther Party, said, well, you guys are going to be his aides. When Huey goes to court, you go to court. You know, if something happened to Huey, it better happen to you first. You know, so we was with Huey. Huey was the #1 public enemy of the government, the #1 person. So when Central Committee put us to watch Huey, we became targets as well. All of a sudden, we started getting draft notices. I mean, at the same time, we was getting draft notices like, okay, now you got to go come to the induction center and blah 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 blah, right? So my reaction, well, David Hilliard said, well, we got somebody for them. There was a guy named Benjamin Spock. Has anybody ever heard of Benjamin Spock? Benjamin Spock. He wrote his famous book. He was a doctor. He wrote the famous doctor book, and he was my draft counselor, right? So he hooked me up with Charles Gary, and in the year 1970, there happened to be a historical big event that happened in America. Some radicals in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, broke into this post office, and in this post office, they had an FBI station there. And they discovered, that was when COINTELPRO was discovered, and the radicals built them out throughout the country to lawyers, newspapers, and so forth. So during this time, I was being taken to court for draft evasion. And so when Charles Gary found out that about this COINTELPRO, he had told me, he said, hey, we got this wrapped up. Because when we went to federal court, Charles Gary asked him one question. We want all documents you have on Bill Jennings. Now, they were still in denial of the fact that there was such thing as COINTELPRO, and they didn't want to let them know that they were watching me, you know, because they were watching you. You can't watch you without watching me, you know. So they decided to drop this whole case, and that's how I was able to bounce out of court without going to Vietnam, because they were breaking the law illegally by invading my personal privacy, my rights, right? So in the party, you have a lot of party members who are locked up still to this day. We have something like 20 members who are political prisoners who are still locked up. We have people from Angola. We have Robert Woodfox. We got Chip Fitzgerald. We got Hugo Bedell. We got Eddie Conway. We got part of the New York 3. So we have party members that are locked up still across this country, and we want to educate people to that fact. Now, our website, on the way out, if you're able to pick up these cards, it has our website. If you ever want to know anything about the Black Panther Party, you will find it on this website. You will find videos, you will find interviews, you will find Black Panther Party newspapers that you can open up, download, and keep for yourself. We have Berkeley Barbs, we have Berkeley Tribe, we have the Chicago Seed, we have the New York Other. We have all these underground newspapers that carry articles about the struggle so that young people today will have information to solve problems. Because the problems we dealt with as young people are still here today. Police brutality, you know, hunger, all these different things that we kind of dealt with are still festering our communities today. But we set an example, showed you how to deal with these programs, you know. If you're hungry, you can start a breakfast program, senior escort program, many programs you can find on our website. So there's tons and tons of information about the Black Panther Party, and I was to talk about the party, I've been talking for days. But I mean, the party was multi-faceted. I mean, we dealt with many things. We were the first organization that dealt with male chauvinism, right? To deal with that, because it was like a ball and chain around our neck, around our leg, you know. Because we had women in our organization who had area ability that a man had, even more. They had intelligence. They did everything brothers did in the Black Panther Party. And all of the media shows is guys all the time. We had women in charge of the Black Panther Party office. This woman right here, this this sister right here, Alberta, I respect her a lot, because when I came to the party, she was an educational instructor. She worked on the Black Panther Party newspaper. When the Black Panther Party needed people to go to different countries and represent it, we sent her to Japan. She was able to organize in Japan. To me, women in the party, they deserve all the same praise that the brother gets. And more, because the police are showing this, the police just thought that they could arrest all the guys and the offices were closed. But that's not true. The women kept the office open, got bailed, and bailed the brothers out. So the women did double duty, you know? So to me, the women deserve all the respect of the Black Panther Party. And on our website, we show that there's sections on our menu. You know, we have representatives in Africa. You know, so there's bits and pieces of our organization we still are trying to put together. And because I'm an archivist, I am really enthusiastic about getting information about the Black Panther Party or the Brown Berets or SDS and putting it on our website so people know who we were connected with. People say, oh, the Black Panther